right? And we're going to go ahead and basically break down what that means. What does it represent? I should say, what does the golden candlestick represent? And so, Lord willing, Abarat's desire is edifying. So we're going to start off with Zechariah 4 and 1, and then also that Proverbs.
I got this. I got it in the Good News Bible.
Okay.
You want to do King James? Or?
I got it pulled up on the screen share on the live feed.
Okay.
So you can read it.
All right. This is Zechariah chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "The angel who had been speaking to me came again and roused me as if I had been sleeping."
Yeah, and when you look at the history of what was going on during the time of Zechariah, Zechariah was a prophet during the Medo-Persian Empire, right? Basically, during the time where it was allowed for Israel to return back into the land, specifically Judah, right? To go back and build Jerusalem, rebuild the city, Jerusalem, starting with the temple, right? And so there was, leaders that were sent out, right? If you read chapter 3, right? It talks about, in the previous chapter, the high priest, right? Mm-hmm. And then chapter 4, it talks about Zerubbabel, right? Right. So, can you read verse 1 again?
Come. This is Zechariah chapter 4, verse 1. "The angel who had been speaking to me came again and roused me as if I had been sleeping. 'What do you see?' he asked. 'A lampstand made of gold,' I answered. At the top is a bowl for the oil. On the lampstand are 7 lamps, each one with places for 7 wicks."
Yeah, so when you look at a lamp or a lantern back in the ancient world, you didn't have candles, right? But you also had lamps, with oil being the supplier of fuel for the lamp, for the fire to continue to burn. Okay, so that's how it was set up. And basically, the candlestick represents the truth, right? Can somebody get that Proverbs 6 and 23? And then also somebody can hold Matthew 5 and 14.
This is Proverbs 6 and 23. "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life."
Right. So it talks about how the commandment, the law, statutes, and commandments, ultimately this knowledge and this truth is a lamp. Okay? It's likened unto a light that shines forth, and we use this light to basically edify the rest of the elect, right? Which we're going to get into chapter 5. Okay, but before we do that, can you read verse 2 again in that Zechariah Bible shop?
Come. It says, "What do you see?" he asked. "A lampstand made of gold," I answered. "At the top is a bowl for the oil. On the lampstand are 7 lamps, each one with places for 7 wicks."
Yep, and also too, gold represents what? Riches, right? Which the ultimate riches is the truth, right? The scriptures talk about in Proverbs chapter 8 how wisdom is not to be compared to all the riches in the world. So it's more valuable, right, than riches, right? So gold, because everything that was done on the physical, when you talk about, like the tabernacle that the Lord told Moses to set up, right, and all of the different ornaments of the temple, those were all things that represented something in the spiritual, right? So when you go into Exodus chapter 25 and it talks about that, these all have spiritual symbolic meanings, okay? And that's pretty much what we're going into right now. This is a vision that Zechariah saw, and what he's looking at, or what he's seen at the time. And the angel, we're going to get into it, the angel asked Zechariah, "Hey, do you know what this means? You know how to break this down?" He didn't really know. He didn't really know what it symbolized, right? And so, over the dispensation of time, the Lord has allowed the Spirit, right, to come out and basically give the edification. Like if you go to Matthew chapter 13, Yahweh said, many prophets desire to know the things that you know, right? But it was given unto you in these times, right? So over time, we have more greater understanding, okay, of these prophecies, right? So that was it in that Proverbs 6. You got that Matthew 5 and 14? And then also, can somebody hold Revelation chapter 1 and verse 12? Hold that on deck as well, Baba Shah. And you can go ahead with that Proverbs 5. Baba Shah. I'm sorry, Matthew 5. I'm sorry. Matthew 5 and 14.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Right. It says ye are the light of the world. Because also too, man, you know, we push out that knowledge, we push out that wisdom, right? So the Lord uses conduits. We're the Lord's tool to go out and push that information out, right? So it says a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid, right? Now Yahushua is the ultimate source of that light. Yahushua is the source of that light, and we pretty much are channels, okay, to continue to push that light out. That's why everybody got their own channel, and we all got our, you know, avenue where we pushing out that same message, right?
We've been illuminated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And people take that word and they go crazy over it, but all it is the bringers of the light.
Yeah.
Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, he sent his friends, you see, to shine that light.
Mm-hmm.
They said the light of the world. Like, you got to be able to figure that out. You know?
Fine. Can you read verse 15 again, bro?
Quick precept to back up on Yahushua,
Mm-hmm.
Ephesians 5 and 13. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light, for whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Wherefore he said, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach shall give thee light.
Yeah, all things that are approved are made manifest by the light, right? When we get into this and continue down on Zechariah chapter 4, it talks about, you know, the mountain that's going to be made a plain, and how the Lord's going to use his men ultimately to overthrow that, starting with the leadership that the Most High set up, you know, with Yahushua, right? And the leadership on down, okay? But it says, all things that are reproved are made manifest by light. Okay, so we've set up pretty much to be that standard, that golden standard, okay? To let it be known, hey, this is what the Lord's will is on the earth, okay? And it says, whatsoever doeth make manifest is light. Made manifest means to be revealed, okay? We're revealing, well, ultimately the Lord is revealing, you know, all of the things that Esau and these other, you know, nations are trying to do in darkness, okay, against us. The works of darkness in general, you know, all those things are being revealed. We're living in the information age. You know, did you have any other point you want to talk about on that?
No.
Okay.
Talk about that now.
Okay. Where were you at? Verse 15?
Yeah, it's read 15.
Okay, can you read verse 15 again?
Matthew 5 and 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick.
Also, too, Slocky, can somebody get Ecclesiastes 8 and 1? You got it, bro.
And it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're supposed to do. Now, this is a parable, right? When you turn a light on, you don't put a plastic bag or a T-shirt over the light bulb, right? That's pointless. You got to make sure that it's open in the open, so that way it can shine and give light to that room. Well, if we're supposed to be likened unto light, if we're the light of the world, then we got to be publicized, and we got to be out in the open public on the highways and byways pushing the word out as well, right? It says, read verse 16. Verse 16 is the point.
Verse 16, let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
You see that? So we got to constantly be pushing the word out. Let your light shine before men. Okay, so we do have light, and we're likened unto that light, but really it's the truth, the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua that gives us that light, right? And then so we can get that in Ecclesiastes, what is that, 8? Yeah, come on, real quick.
Ecclesiastes 8 and 1. Who is the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? And man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed.
Yeah, you see that? Just like when the Lord was, dealing with Moses, And Moses had to, whenever, after he got done supping with the Lord, he had to go out and put a veil on his face, because his face was literally shining. You see, from dealing with the Lord, and the wisdom and the glory that the Lord, was sharing with Moses, right? So we have, access to that same power source. We're gonna be giving out the light as well. That's why people come out. People come, to the sincere people. They'll come out to the camp and they'll ask questions, right? Because they're trying to get it. We were all walking in darkness at one point, right? But you gravitate towards light. In a world full of darkness, you gravitate towards the light, right? So that's where we're supposed to be. Right now, that was it on that. So let's go back to that in Zechariah 4 and verse 3, Bible shot. Now, of course, the brother got precepts, but I got a couple myself. Back to Zechariah 4 and 3. Whoever got it.
I got it.
Okay.
This is Zechariah chapter 4, verse 3. There are 2 olive trees beside the lampstand, one on each side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I asked the angel, what do these things stand for, sir?
You see that? I keep thinking about that Matthew 13. Can somebody pull that? Matthew 13, where Yahushua said that many prophets desire to see the things that you see. I'm not, the exact verse, but
It's 13 like 16. If I can get it for you.
yeah, come on.
This is St. Matthew 13, and I'll start at verse 16. It says, "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them."
Yeah, because in these times we have the breakdown. We're able to go into, to the Spirit of the Lord. The Lord open up the understanding for us to be able to, see these things really come to pass too. In our lifetime, we've seen a lot of prophecy come to pass. And, the Lord's going to continue to work his work, right? So it's going to break, we're going to go into it. But it talks about the 2 olive trees, okay? Which ultimately those 2 olive trees represent, in a broader sense, the northern and the southern kingdom, okay? Judah and Ephraim, okay? One on the right side and the other on the left side of the bowl, okay? Go ahead.
All right, this is, am I still reading?
Yeah, verse 4, yeah.
All right. It says, then I asked the angel, what do these things stand for, sir? Don't you know, he asked me.
Oh, by the way, can somebody get Hosea 1 and 17? I'm sorry, Hosea 1 and 7, not 17. Hosea 1 and 7, and then also Acts 2 and 17. Go ahead, verse 5.
Don't you know, he asked me. No, I don't, sir, I replied. The angel said to me, the 7 lamps are the 7 eyes of the Lord.
Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself because I should have got Revelation 1 and 12. Revelation 1 and 12, real quick. Bible shop, because basically it breaks it down, like what exactly the candlesticks is and what it represents when you read Revelation 1 and 20. But start at verse 12 real quick, Bible shop.
This is Revelation chapter 1, verse 12. And it reads, and I turned.
Verse 11.
Okay. Revelation chapter 1, verse 11. And it says, I'm going to start at verse 10.
That's fine.
It says, I was in the spirit of the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book.
Yep, these are the words of Yahushua, right? Yahushua appeared to John the Revelator, and said, hey, look, these visions that you're about to see, write it in the book, right? Go ahead.
And send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea.
Now, question. Was this the sum totality of every single church that existed at that time?
No.
Of course not, right? So, but what it represented was ultimately the leadership, the core hubs of the church at that time. Now, in these times, the majority of the churches we're talking about the believers of Yahushua are not located in these cities, right? We're now in Babylon the Great. So these churches represent ultimately the believers, okay? The believers in Yahushua, okay? And there's 7 churches to obviously 7, represents completion, right? So it's the complete number of churches.
The true body of believers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got to put that out there.
Right. Okay, now key point here, verse 12, and then we're going to drop down verses 12, 13, and then we're going to drop down to verse 20.
This is back in Revelation chapter 1, verse 12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7,
Yeah, and we just broke down what the 7 golden candlesticks represent. Represents the truth, okay? Okay, the riches that the truth brings. Go ahead.
God. It says, verse 13, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about with the paps, with a golden girdle.
Right, so it talks about how Yahushua is in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. Okay, because the truth resides with who? His men, the church. Right? So it's not just the truth and then nobody has it in these times. We have the truth. We have what Yahushua said, the kingdom of heaven is within you, which is the word. Right? So Yahushua says he's in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, right? Now let's drop down, follow the shot of verse 20.
God. Verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars, which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 are the angels of the 7 churches.
Right, because every church has a angel, the angels camp around about those that fear him, right? So there's angels watching over in the spirit that, watching, recording things, lessons, all the, spiritual work that's being done, reporting back, right? Go ahead.
Come. It says, and also too, you have to head to these camps that are likened to them as well. In this context, like Timothy being the head of Ephesus and such like that. So also in a sense going into that too. You know what I'm saying? The churches and their leadership and the leadership of organizations. But it says, going back to it, the mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches.
See that? So the candlesticks represent the churches. Now, there's 7 candlesticks. Does that mean there's only 7 camps? No. It just means overall 7 obviously is a number of completion, right? And, back when we go back to in Exodus 25, the Lord told Moses to make those 7 candlesticks, but it was all connected into one, right? And so that's ultimately completion, okay? Now, can you read chapter 2, verse 1, and then go back to the
This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 1. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things saith he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks.
You see that? So what does the scripture say? When 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I. Right? So ultimately, there's more than 7 churches, but again, that represents the body of Yahushua. So that was the point on that. Before we continue on, now I think we were at verse 6 in Zechariah 4.
Yep.
Let's go back to that. Zechariah 4 and 6, and then somebody can hold Hosea 1 and 7 on deck.
I got that
as
over.
well as Acts 2 and 17. All right.
Yeah, I got Hosea.
All right. Let's read verse 6.
Zechariah 4 and 6 says, the angel said to me, the 7 lamps are the 7 eyes of the Lord, which see all over the earth. Then I asked him, what do the 2 olive trees on either side of the lampstands mean? What is the meaning of the 2 olive branches beside the 2 gold pipes?
I'm sorry, what verse are you in?
Verse 6.
Verse 6?
That's verse 6, right?
Yeah, I started at 6.
Okay.
You want to get into the KJV?
Well, yeah, because it talks about a specific point right here, not by might nor by my power. I don't know if it.
You reading the NLT?
Nah, I got this here.
in the GNT.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's all good. I got it shown on the screen where I'm streaming from. Anyway, I'm gonna just read it real quick.
That's
Right
what's
here.
up.
I got Zechariah right here.
Yeah. Can you read verse 5 and 6, Paul Kushak?
Zechariah 4 and 5. Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of Yahweh unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says Yahweh of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain?
Let's stop there, right? It says, he answered and spake unto Zerubbabel, saying, this is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, right? So that lets you know that this salvation is going to be what? Brought through the will of the Lord, okay? It's not going to be brought through a physical might or physical strength, right? Just like with the situation in Judges with Gideon, the Lord wanted to make a point. Hey, with these 300 men, we're going to overthrow these Philistines, right? So the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, they're spiritual. So real quick, let's get that in Hosea 1 and verse 7.
All right.
With that in mind, Baba Kushak.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 7. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah and will save them by the Lord their God.
Yeah, because you got to remember, what state was Israel in during the time of Zechariah? We was in a dilapidated state, bro. The northern kingdom was completely obliterated off the map as far as, the land allotments. They were removed completely from the land, right? The only tribes that was accounted for was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? And they were given permission by the Medo-Persian Empire to even go and build the foundation of the temple, right?
The law was burnt as well.
Yep.
According to 2nd Ezra, the 14th chapter, we didn't have all the fragments of the laws put together around that time. You know what I'm saying? A lot going on.
You see? So this was a state of desperation that Israel was in, okay? And there was no way that we would have been able to overcome or overthrow the enemies at that point, because prior to that, like if you go into Judges, like the Lord would raise up judges and he would judge the nation that had oppressed us. We kind of had a level of sovereignty after that. It was way beyond that point, And so the Lord is reminding us, hey, look, this is going to be my doing, my works, okay, to deliver you from here on out. So let's read that in Hosea again, real quick.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 7. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen.
You see that? Because that's how a lot of the salvation, when you go into the stories, like you mentioned Gideon, other stories, it was a physical skirmish or battle that went on to basically deliver Israel from these various different oppressors through over time. But this is going to be different, man. In these times, you know what I mean? Like we're going to have to. The Lord is going to completely intervene, right? He's going to put these other nations against each other, all right? And then also, obviously, 2nd Ezra 13, Yahushua and the angels are going to step in and with the chariots and overthrow the nations. Okay, we're not going to have to go to battle, go to war against these, like how it was in the ancient world. Like we would go to war, during the Maccabean revolt, for example. We were going to war with the Grecians. It ain't going to be none of that. Right, see? Somebody has something?
Yeah, I got a quick precept.
Okay.
The book of Psalms, chapter 44 and verse 6. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. Verse 7 as well. But thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us.
Yeah, you see that? So that was the mentality that David had. Like, of course, he was a man of war, but at the end of the day, the different situations that he was saved from really was completely out of his control. The Lord put the Spirit on individuals to help him out, you know what I mean? Like different things where he was able to escape, but it wasn't by his own might or his own force, right? That's on a single man scale. Now, multiply that towards the individuals that's going to be saved out of here, okay? That's here in Babylon the Great. Like, bro, we're not going to be able to overthrow Esau and his armies. There's going to have to be a spiritual intervention like how it was during the time of Exodus. See? That was a good one.
I don't see you Even when King David was physically handling people, he gave credit to the Heavenly Father. Because in Psalm 18, he said, he made my feet like hinds feet, and I made his great goals in gold still. You know, so he gave that glory to the Heavenly Father. You know, just like that standard that's going to be lifted up to the Heavenly Father, but he's going to use Israel as his weapons of war and battle to administer judgment. So it's still going to come from the Heavenly Father, even though we're physically going to be doing it. It's a spiritual power coming forth. So all that becomes is that standard of the Most High.
That's right, my brothers. That's right.
Just add to it.
John, you said you have one talking about?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all got this already or not. Psalm 20.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Speak up, these fans and shit loud.
Yeah.
Psalm 20, verse 1 and 2, and I'm going to jump down to verse 7. It says, Yahweh hear thee in the day of trouble. The name of the Most High of Jacob defend thee. Send thee help from the sanctuary and strengthen thee out of Zion. Jumping down to verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of Yahweh our power.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of individuals, like what we just saw with the election, they believe in Esau, okay, or the system that they set up. You know, they want to devote themselves to the system that Esau set up to deliver them, right? Because ultimately that's the faith that they have, right? But we have faith in Yahweh Shem Shah. That's what we have. There's no reason for us to devote ourselves to another entity, right? To accomplish whatever we want. You know, and ultimately everything it comes down to what the Lord wants, okay? And we submit ourselves to His will, okay? So going back to that Zechariah, we were at verse 6, right? There was one more precept, Acts 2 and 17. Can you read Zechariah 4 and 6 one more time, both the shot?
Yeah.
And then we'll get that Acts.
Zechariah 4 and 6. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word Yahweh. This is word of Yahweh unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith Yahweh of hosts.
Right. So again, this is not something that, you know, we're going to be able to control, or something that we're going to be able to say, oh, it was done by our might. Okay, it's done by the Spirit of the Lord. Everything, all the prophecies leading up to this point that we're in right now, is all by the Spirit of the Lord, by the will of the Lord. Okay.
I had another one real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Just
No,
back
go
on
ahead.
what you just said.
And then we'll get that.
I got that.
Yeah.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. It says, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. And that's straight to the point. You know, it says that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, as we read in Zechariah the 4th chapter, it says, not by power, not by might, nor but by my spirit. We understand and know, like, the words that we speak, they bring forth power. And it comes through Yahweh Bashem Shai.
That's right.
You know, there's a scripture somewhere in the Apocrypha where it says that a word breaketh bones or something along those lines. You don't got to get it, but
Yeah,
you know.
well, if you come with the faith of a mustard seed, your word gonna be able to move mountains.
Right,
What does a mountain represent? I always wonder, like, man, you gonna tell a mountain to move over here? That's talking about the governments that ultimately what we're preaching right now is letting these elites know that their government, their mountain, okay, that's just gonna be overthrown, okay? And we're ushering in Yahweh Shai's presence every time we, invoke that, okay? Now, with that in mind, let's go to that Acts 2 and 17. You can read verse 17 and 18.
Yep, this is Acts 2 and 17. It says, And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith the Most High, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy.
You see that? And that's what's going on right now. Okay? The Lord is pouring out His Spirit, okay, on His men. And even on some sisters, to tell to their husbands or tell to their families for the dream to be interpreted.
Which is proof that this doctrine comes from the heavens. You know, what's that in the Apocrypha? Wisdom of Solomon, somewhere where it talk about the spirit and the influence.
Hebrews 9 and 17.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
It's a good precept. You know, we can bring it
It's
out.
Wisdom of Solomon 9:17.
Yeah.
Send out from that throne or something along those lines.
It says, how can I know the counsel of the Lord lest the Holy Spirit come down and give it to you? Something to that effect.
You know? So the point is that the Lord is basically pouring that spirit upon us, man. So that way we can, you know, wake up. We can come into a high level of understanding. That's all by the spirit of the Lord, as it talks about in verse 6, back in Zechariah 4. Right? Now, somebody can get Zechariah 4 and 7.
Zechariah 4 and 7. Who art thou?
Oh, I'm sorry. We read verse 18. Yeah, okay, keep going.
Who art thou?
I'm sorry, but I promise I'm not sure.
No,
I just want to make sure we get this precept ahead of time. Revelation 17 and 18. Somebody can hold that. Also Jeremiah 51 and 25.
I got Jeremiah.
Revelation 17, 18.
Who art thou, O great mountain? But Zerubbabel, thou art become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shouting, crying, grace unto it.
Right. It says, "Who art thou, O great mountain?" Right now, before we get that go into that, I want to get this what the word Zerubbabel means. Okay. Which is Strong's H 2216. Zerubbabel. Okay. And it's a compound word. Okay. Zerub, which means it says basically sown in Babylon. Okay. Zerubbabel. Okay, sown in Babylon. Okay. So, you know, that lets you know, man. I mean, that's pretty much right now. We in Babylon right now, but we bring out the word. You know, we were all pretty much born here in Babylon, or if we wasn't born here, we've been here for a long time. But it was intentional that, you know, when you go into the history, like, hey, if you're born outside of the Holy Land, that wasn't on accident. You know, you're supposed to be born in the Holy Land. But the reason why he was born in Babylon, his seed was sown in Babylon, or why he was born in Babylon was because we were taken out of the land of Israel, right? And that's spiritually it connects to the situation that we're in right now. We were born in Babylon here, and we pretty much prophesying against it, right? So that great mountain, let's get that precept, Revelation 17.
Yep.
And then whoever got that Jeremiah, let's get to Revelation 17 first.
That last verse, yep. Revelation 17 and 18, it says, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's that great city where it talks about that in verse 8, verse 7, right? "Who art thou, O great mountain?" That mountain represents governments, okay? And that great city is that government, okay? Babylon the Great. Okay, it says, "which reigneth over the kings of the earth." So this is end time prophecy right here. Okay, even though it was all the way back during the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay.
It's heavy because in the Bible that I got here, it probably says in yours too, Mark, that word mountain probably says difficulty or obstacle. You know what I'm saying? So like you know that this government, you know, the situation that we're in through the spirit it's an obstacle for us.
Hey, check this out. This is in the version I got. It says obstacles as great as mountains will disappear before you.
Yeah.
Wow.
You will rebuild the temple, and as you put the last stone in place, the people will shout, "Beautiful, beautiful."
Man, the last moment.
That's the good news.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it, man.
What that Jeremiah?
No, I'm looking for what Yahushua said. I'll read this real quick. Matthew chapter 21 and 21. It says, "Yahushua answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done." You see? And that's exactly what's going to go down. When you skip to the next verse in Revelation 18, it talks about how thus with great force shall Babylon be thrown down. You see?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Also at Revelation 11, when you go into those two witnesses, the Lord is going to give them power to speak things into existence.
Yeah.
You know, speak certain plagues to come to pass. Go ahead.
No. That's it. That's what
Now,
we're going to end on.
Now, real quick, when you have that mindset,
Are you having that mindset now or later? Meaning, in other words, are you waiting for Jacob's trouble to have that mindset?
Shoot, you supposed to have that mindset. You don't know how you can pay your bills.
We going into Jacob's trouble, praising the Lord.
That's it.
Just like the three holy children.
Right. Now the point I'm making is the grace period is to build those spiritual muscles up for that time. There's a lot of Jake that talk that talk. They're gonna wait till that time to think they're gonna spark something, and it ain't gonna spark.
Right.
Because they didn't understand that now. Like now, when Yahweh Shai say, hey, if you say anything in my name, I would do it to glorify my Father if you believe. You don't think Jacob's trouble.
Right.
You think now. Always think now, because Jake got to step out there
Right.
and trust the Lord and watch him work before the big working, meaning the end, Jacob's trouble, the worst time in history. So we always got to keep that in our mind, because there's things we can do now that will blow your mind that you haven't even thought about, because you're not in the spirit of what the word is saying. Go ahead, Doc.
God, can somebody read verse 7 again?
Zechariah 4:7. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shouting, crying, grace unto it.
Right. So again, who is that? Who is that? That great mountain. Let's get that in Jeremiah 51 about that shadow.
This is Jeremiah 51, verse 25. It says, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain.
And I'm sorry, actually, the answer is verse 24. You can read verse 24 and verse 25.
I got you. Jeremiah 51, verse 24. It says, and I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahweh. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Yahweh, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain.
You see that? Who's the destroying mountain? Who's the one that's the hammer of the earth right now? Who's the one that's causing all type of mayhem and chaos in the earth? Scripture says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So if you want to say, oh, it's talking about a literal mountain, what mountain do you know? What it's talking about, volcano? No, it's spiritual representing the government of Babylon the Great.
Or that sits at the top of the list.
Right.
Specifically, because we went into that woman,
Right.
you know, America,
Exactly.
assisted by, you know, NATO and the EU.
You see? So it says the Lord said He's gonna stretch out His hand upon that great mountain, right, and roll him down and make him a burnt mountain. That's exactly what's gonna happen to this place. It's gonna get burnt up. You see?
I got another one real quick.
God.
Revelation 11:18. It says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. In the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Exactly. That's exactly what's gonna happen. The Lord's gonna destroy those that destroy the earth. And, okay. Now I was just gonna say, because we're gonna end off on a Revelation 11. Because it comes back and talks about that when you go after it talks about the olive trees. But go ahead.
Back to that mountain. Isaiah 25:7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So that mountain is Esau. You know, that government, this rulership, you know, that covering cast is over the people. It's that gross darkness that he spread throughout the earth. The Most High is going to destroy it.
That's right.
I got a precept too, just tackling up on the Middle East, you know, and how that's, you know, over there in the Holy Land is going to be burnt up too in that region. But this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39, and I'm going to start at verse 9 and end in verse 11. But Salaki, excuse me. But I was going to pull a word up as well, you know. But verse 11. Okay, but yeah. Anyway, going back to it, this is Ezekiel, chapter 39, verse 9. And it says, and they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons. And this is going into we have spiritual power. You know, when we come down out of those chariots, the Israelites going to be burning stuff up in the Middle East with spiritual power. Okay? But it says, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the headstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years, so that they shall take no wood out of the field. Again, because it's going to be with spiritual power.
Where you reading that out?
Ezekiel 39 and 10.
Okay.
It says, neither cut down any forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil these that spoil them, because you went to a burnt mountain, in a sense, which we know that verse is talking about Babylon, of course, but even over there in the Middle East, that's going to get burned up as well.
Yeah.
It's just going to be inhabited again. You know, but you got Edomites that are there, cheap house of Edomites, that are going to be burned up over there too.
Ain't this the same chapter that talk about I will sever out men of continual
Yeah,
employment?
it's the same
You know
chapter.
what I'm saying? So yeah, like you said, it's gonna be post-apocalyptic.
Right.
Post-apocalyptic.
Mhm. It says, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord Yahweh, which again is that judgment being exacted. You know, is a righteous thing to give tribulation unto them that trouble thee. In verse 11 is the point. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of grave Salakia. I will give unto Gog a place there of the graves in Israel. Because you know you got Russia and all them that are going to be in that territory. Remember, it's going to be fighting that takes place. Okay? And it says, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and they shall Salakia. And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitudes, and they shall call it the valley of Haman Gog, which pretty much means death of the mass mountain. You know, death of the mass mountain. You know, so I know there was quite a bit of precepts that was brought out in verses, but that's another example going into how the Lord is going to burn another mountain. You know, the government's in the rulership over there too.
The subtitle in here, I would say the defeat of Gog and the burial of Gog.
And that's right.
Yeah.
We're Edomites.
Right.
You know,
That's it.
And you know what's funny? When the brother said continually,
Employment.
employment, whatever, that lets you know it's going to be so many dead bodies.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Continual, meaning it's going to have to go for a minute
Yeah, that's gonna be their
of
job.
work of getting these bodies taken care of.
Man.
That's a lot of bones and blood everywhere, boy. God, leave.
What scripture say?
Well,
That's
that's
in
why
that chapter.
Yeah, Ezekiel 39 and 11.
Yeah.
But that's why it says in verse 11, it shall stop the noses of the passengers.
It's going to be bad.
The smell is gonna be horrendous.
Oh, damn.
I'm thinking about, hey, if one animal died in the street over there, just one, and it was there for a while, you'd be like, what's that smell like? God, dog. You know what I'm saying? It could be a house down the street and a skunk down in the backyard.
Imagine.
And that drifts, that wind hit and the drift.
Imagine all that human. That's what I'm saying. That's people decomposition. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's people.
That's next level.
Ooh,
That's a whole nother ball.
man.
It's going to be bad.
Dead niggas' asses everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Talk about DNA. Yeah, dead niggas' asses.
So when we talk about, hey, check this out. So, so to the spirit, right? When we talk about the kingdom smelling good, everything being great, it's a process.
Right.
It ain't gonna be like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, we saved. The streets are gold. No, man. Work has to be done because these slaves got to get to work. And part of that work is what we talking about, getting them bodies taken care of.
Absolutely.
It's gonna bring forth birds, and we gonna be able to command the birds to pluck the shit out of the.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah, that word really means dead multitude of the mountain.
Man.
Man.
Mountain God, dead multitude of the mountain.
Come on,
Bird
man.
mountain.
Yeah, that's right.
Dead niggas ass. Dead bodies gonna be like a dung
Yeah, yup.
forming a mountain.
Crazy. Yeah.
Ezekiel 39 and 11. Hey, man, I bring out a precept.
Yeah, come on. And then after that, we'll go back to that Zechariah.
Okay.
Go ahead, bro.
All right, the book of Psalms chapter 110 and verse 5. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries.
Oh, perfect. Speak on it, brother.
Oh, yeah. So as it says, man, when the Lord comes back, all right, he's not coming back with sunshine, rainbows, kisses and hugs, lollipops, cupcakes, none of that. It said he's coming back to strike the kings of the earth, all right, to fill the courts with dead bodies. So that's what he's coming back to do, man. All right.
That's right.
Yep. That was Psalms 110 and 5 and 6.
That's hard right there.
Yeah. Yep. The KJV.
Worms and vultures gonna be having a feast.
Man.
So So let's go back to that real quick, Zechariah 4, and the second part of verse 7. Now we're gonna break that down. You can just start from the top of
Okay.
it. And then, and I'm sorry, go real quick. We read Jeremiah 51 already. Okay, so now we're gonna get Psalms 118 and 22, and also 2nd Ezra 2 and 31. Go ahead. Yeah.
Zechariah 4 and 7. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the edged stone thereof with shouting, saying, Grace, grace unto.
Yeah, and again, man, Zerubbabel, you gotta, if you're spiritual, you know that's King David coming back into reincarnation, right? And ultimately, the house of David is going to be used to usher in Yahushua, right? And establish, Yahushua is going to establish his throne through that house, right? So, the Lord gave Peter the keys, right, to the kingdom. So guess what? That same spirit, okay, we believe through King Masha, right, has been pushing the truth in these times, man. Bringing back the information that we once had, and now it's given back to us with the understanding of, okay, these are the events that have the prophecies that have been fulfilled throughout history, and this is the remaining prophecies that are going to be fulfilled in these times, right? Now, that scripture in 2nd Ezra, somebody get that real
2nd
quick.
Ezra 2 and 34.
31. But before that, I want to get that plain where it talks about they're making a plain. Psalms 18 and 118 and 22.
God. This is Psalms chapter 118, verse 22. And it says, the stone which the builders refused, the stone which the builders refused is become the head stone of the corner.
Yep. You see that? Verse 23.
This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes.
You see that? So ultimately the Lord is using Yahushua to overthrow this great mountain. Okay? And who was that headstone? Yahushua. Okay? It says he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying grace, grace unto it. Right? Yahushua is that headstone. Now, real quick, 2nd Ezra, whoever got that one, 2nd Ezra 2 and 31.
2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 31, it says, remember thy children that sleep, for I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth, and show mercy unto them. For I am merciful, saith the Lord Almighty.
You see that? Grace. Grace unto it. The Lord is going to remember the children that sleep, because everybody that was alive during the time that this book was written, they all passed away, right? And became reincarnated, okay? And that's ultimately what? Lets you know that we're in those times, the same thing, the same individuals that were back then during the times of, but this is something that you gotta believe. If you don't believe it, then that's on you. That's why Yahushua said, if you can't, if you can receive it, because some people can't receive the spiritual saying. You gotta have a level of faith, It says, read verse 31 and 32.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 31 and 32. I read verse 31 again. It says, remember thy children that sleep, for I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth, and show mercy unto them. For I am merciful, saith the Lord Almighty. Embrace thy children until I come and show mercy unto them. For my wells run over, and my grace shall not fail.
See that? So again, man, all right, the Lord set it up to where, the grace is a key aspect. That's how we get back to Yahushua, or to the Most High, through Yahushua, right? Through that headstone, okay? That's the mercy that the Lord set up. Also, Revelation 14 and 13. Somebody can get that one real quick.
I'll grab it.
All right.
Revelation 14 and 13. It says, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them.
You see that? Their works do follow them. Those that rest, those that sleep, okay, their works are not forgotten, because they died in the works, doing the works of the Lord. We're talking about generations of work that was done, even though you think of like inheritance being something that you directly receive the benefit from, you know, the previous generation. Well, we have a spiritual inheritance that of our own works throughout all of the lifetimes that we've been doing the work of the Lord, dying in the truth, to where this, like it says, and their works do follow them. And even in this life, especially in this lifetime, in this lifetime as well. Okay? Blessed are those are the dead which died in the Lord from henceforth, from the time which has always been, they've always been blessed. But it was a decree from the time of where this was written, Revelation, right, all the way up until now. You see? It says their works do follow them. So we get a spiritual inheritance of all the works that we've done up until this point, right? So that's that grace, right? Let's go back to that Zechariah 8.
Zechariah 4,
I'm sorry, 4 and verse 8, I'm sorry.
Zechariah 4 and 8. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me unto you.
You see? So again, the foundation of the house was, of the house specifically, like the second temple, right, was, you know, set up under Zerubbabel's authority. But on the spiritual side of things, again, just let you know, we are a spiritual house, man. We're built up under the, you know, basically the spiritual temple that through Yahushua, you know, we're going to be able to offer up those spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Lord. Okay? Even when, you know, Yahushua was on the scene and you had the scribes and Pharisees boasting in how glorious the second temple was, Yahushua was like, man, this temple is going to be torn down in 3 days and built back up. Even though Yahushua was talking about his spiritual, I mean his physical body, right? His temple, the second temple actually was torn down. It actually was destroyed, right? Now what? Now how do we get to the Lord, right? So it, you know, it's the spiritual representation of it is far greater than the physical things that were done at that time. Okay. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It
You said
says,
2 Corinthians 5?
Con.
I'm gonna make sure I pull it up on the screen.
Okay, con.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it, brother. Go
Okay,
ahead.
con. All right, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. And it reads, for we know that if our earthly house of his tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Yahweh, and house not made with hand, eternal in the heavens.
That's right. You see? So this is again, like, what is that in 1 Peter chapter 2? The spiritual house is being built up. You know, our earthly house or our earthly body is the physical body and flesh that we have. Okay, but we have a house not made with hands, which is our spirit. Okay, that's really what counts and what matters the most. All right, so we're almost done here in Zechariah. Let's finish this. We had verse 10. Yeah, Bible shot.
Zechariah 4 and 10.
I'm sorry. Did you read the part? Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
For who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the coming in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of Yahweh which run to and fro through the whole earth.
Yep, like how we talked about earlier, those eyes representing the angels, right? That's watching over the, over the church, over the body. Okay, but what's the day of small things? Anybody know? Well, it says, who has despised the day of small things? Ultimately, the feebleness and the meekness of the situation that we were in at that time, right? If you despising, Zechariah chapter 1, the first chapter, you know, he that touches you touches the apple of the Most High's eye. Because we're feeble, we're very susceptible to being, I mean, especially at that point, look at the situation we were in, like we talked about earlier. Like, we literally had a sword in one hand and, a building tool in the other hand, trying to rebuild the wall, while the other nations were trying to impede us from just getting back establishing ourselves, right? So these are foundational roots that, you know, the Lord made sure that they got planted in. Okay, because if this didn't happen, if we didn't return back into the land and try to get back with the Lord, you know, all the events that followed, like look at the Maccabean revolt, look at Yahushua, you know, basically, you know, all the ministry that he did, like there was Israelites in that area, right? So this was key. This was a key event, a key time in history. Okay, that, you know, basically when the Lord set it up, you know, that allowed for prophecy to continue. Okay, and you can look at it in these times too. You know, we're feeble. Fear not that worm, Jacob. We're very susceptible to anything happening out there on the highways and byways. And if you despise these times today, the Lord is going to say, hey, He's not going to vouch for you when it's time, you know, to actually reap what we've been sowing. You see? So it says, for they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. Right? Who are the ones that's going to rejoice? Those that's been putting in the work. And a plummet is basically a measuring device for when you build in, you know, specifically like a foundation. A plummet would be used to, like to determine the angle. Make sure you have a right angle, so that way when you're building the wall, it's not leaning too far in or too far out. So it would be like a pole with a string, and that's how you would see. Okay, you build the wall according to this plummet. Make sure it's at a 90-degree angle.
When you place the beams that hold the house up too.
Make sure it's level. Make sure that foundation is solid. Right? Okay.
I got a precept.
Go ahead, bro.
Real quick. Because when it says that they, because I remember Elder Apostle Mama broke that down a while ago, but that they is meaning like the Lord and the angels. You know what I'm saying? It says that they shall rejoice when they see that the plummet in Zerubbabel's hand. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 12, it says, and I'm reading this in the NLT, it says, they were told that their messages were not for themselves, but for you. Talking about the message of the gospel. And now this good news has been announced to you by those who preached in the power of the Holy Spirit sent from heaven. It is also wonderful that even the angels are eagerly watching these things happen.
That's 1 Peter 1, right? What version is that?
That was an NLT.
First Peter 1
and 12. You know, so even the angels, you know, the angels in the, you know, in the perfect state that they're in, you know, they seeing us, you know, they're looking at us, you know, doing this work. You know, we're in these feeble bodies and this flesh through as hell, still transgressing and sinning, but still through the Spirit fighting. Because really it's the angel, which is the Holy Spirit, that gives us the power to continue. Right. So even though, you know, the scriptures talk about how the angels were in the, you know, we were angels in our first state when we fell down into these chains of darkness, being in this flesh. So even the angels are looking at these prophecies come to pass and like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like they, you know, they doing it. So they're eagerly even watching there, and they're eagerly waiting to see Yahushua return, because Yahushua doesn't know the day. So when the Lord gives that green light, and Yahushua gets that green light to come and destroy this mountain, what the priests are now going into, even the angels are desiring for that day too. You know, they're desiring to see the glory of the kingdom as well. You know, not that they're you know sinning or that they're in distress or anything like that, but they're desiring to see the prophecies be fulfilled as well.
Yeah, on earth as it is in heaven.
Got a precept for you real quick too. Back door in that one. You know, the one you brought out, Tassimah. Hebrews 12:1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. You know, so part of that cloud of witnesses is also the angels as well. You know, not only your brethren that are around you, which applies with that too, but also our brethren that are in the heavens rejoicing, you know, as they see us fighting and putting off the flesh, you know.
That's right. All right, so let's go back to that, I think the last verses 12, or
verse
11, yeah.
Zechariah 4:11.
In the last one, we're going to hold Proverbs 21 and 20, and then Matthew 25 and 1. You got to go.
Then answered I and said unto him, what are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, these be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the gold oil out of them themselves.
Yeah, which is a question, right? You know, what be those two olive branches which the two golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? Right? He was asking, what does this represent? What do the two olive trees represent? Which, when you go into Romans 11 chapter, it talks about, the olive tree, how the wild olive branches were grafted in, you know what I mean? Which is ultimately the Israelite foreigners, okay? But simplifying it, there were two olive trees, one on the right, one on the left. You say Judah and Ephraim, the northern and southern kingdom, right? Also, the two witnesses, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, exactly, which that goes into, the law and the prophets, right? Northern and southern kingdom, which we're going to get. We're going to end off on that. And before we get those, this is a question that Zechariah was asking. What do these represent, right?
If I may, real quick, just add on to what you're saying, real quick, just to add on, like, bro, it makes me think of the transfiguration as well, too. Yahushua being in the middle, and you had Elijah and Moses, and then, it was like, look, hear ye him. So it's feeding into that golden candlestick is those two olive branches, putting that oil into the candle. That the law and the prophets is all pretty much embedded in Yahushua. He's the one. That was it.
So, somebody got that in Proverbs 21.
Well, real quick, you can ask your question.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify the two witnesses is the southern and northern kingdom, but it also can be applied to the law and the prophets.
Yeah, so we're gonna get it in when you read Revelation 11 and 4. It talks about that as well.
Okay.
It represents the law and the prophets, which Moses and Elijah, and also the northern and southern kingdom, right? Judah and Ephraim.
Okay.
Right. But before we get that, because it really breaks it down. Like it says it in verses 14, but I want to get that in Proverbs 21. Bob Kushal, whoever got that.
So when you break it down, you know what I'm saying, Yawasop. So when you break it down as, you know what I'm saying, the northern and southern kingdom and such like that.
Right.
Brothers is using examples of the law and the prophets, Moses, Elijah and such, to tie with it and everything.
Okay, that makes sense.
The primary breakdown, which, it's a deeper breakdown even within that.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? The foundation of it is just, the northern and the southern kingdoms that have returned.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's prophecy speaks.
Right. Okay.
Does that also equal the Gentiles? Pretty much the same. Not really.
Well, I mean, in Gentiles, we're all Gentiles in these times.
Right.
Israelite foreigners, right?
Exactly.
You're talking about
So it does equal the same.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in these times in 2024, we all Gentiles because none of us were born in the land. You know what I mean? But that's where the wild olive tree comes in because it's like we were grafted in to that original tree. You know what I mean? Yep. So, which again, Romans 11. This lesson isn't about Romans 11, but Romans 11 talks about that.
Proverbs 21 and what verse?
Verse 20, Bible for shop.
This is Proverbs 21 and verse 20. It reads, "There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up."
You see that? So was the treasure to be desired really the oil, which we're going to get in Matthew 25, right? Which is what? Ultimately, the oil is the truth,
Right.
And if you have the oil, if you have the truth, then your lamp is going to continue to burn. And you continue to trim your lamp, you're going to be able to continue to have that light shining, right? Like we started the lesson off with.
Now you can connect that with Wisdom of Solomon, not Wisdom of Solomon, in Isaiah when it speaks about wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times, and the fear of the Lord is His treasure. You can connect that right there.
Right. That's right.
Right? Because we understand the fear is the root of that wisdom, which is the light, which is what we're talking about. So I always connect that because you can't have the fear without it.
That's right.
So then, okay, so that was points, precepts, quick precepts, and then Matthew 25. We don't got to get the whole thing, but that'll break down the oil part. And Matthew 25.
Start at one and read the parable.
Yeah, kind of. Matthew, I'm trying to really just get
to the meat of it.
Yeah,
to the
like
sun.
okay.
And I can read quickly though,
Well, Matthew 25, you brothers know the parable of the 10 virgins, you know what I mean? We don't got to go into the whole thing, we already been going for a minute. So, brothers, know about the parable of the 10 virgins. It talks about how had the, took oil in their lamps, right? And the other were foolish. The foolish versions, they didn't take oil, right? And ultimately, that oil represents what? The wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because when Yahushua comes back, we want to be found with oil in our lamps, okay? It says other foolish versions, they're gonna be asking of the oil because their oil is going out. They're not gonna have the understanding.
Right. No, no faith, no fear, no trust, no belief. That's what they didn't have, which represents that oil. You know what I mean?
Right, that's right. So going back to this in Zechariah, we can read verse 13 and 14, and then we'll close out on Revelation 11 and 4.
Zechariah 4, verse 13. He answered me and said, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then said he, these are the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth.
Right, so that two anointed ones, which only the elect are going to get the oil, man, at the end of the day. You know, that's why, people, they at one point or another, they may have it, and then it gets dried up, or they don't have foundation or root within themselves, so the Lord takes it away. Whatever happens, you want to be found with oil in your lamp when Yahushua returns, when the bridegroom returns. So that way you're not shut out from the wedding chambers.
Right. Now, real quick now, what did he say? He said, when I come, shall I find faith on the earth? Surely that's part of the oil right there.
The Holy Spirit that King David prayed that the Most High take not from us. When we read in Psalms 51,
Yep.
That's kind of the sum total that encompasses everything: the Holy Spirit, the fear, the faith, all that.
That's right. That's right.
Obviously, the truth. We got the prophecies within.
Because we say, because we say oil, but you always got to break down what that oil is, because oil is a symbolic, right? But what is the oil? So you always got to dig in, because you get used to just hearing oil, and not whipping on the details of that. So you can, do it, so you can show the Lord. You know what I mean?
Can I just make a statement so that we are equal to the son of Moses and Yahushua? So the laws that were given and the laws that was given by Yahushua as well, that he fulfilled the law, which is that we love one another as ourselves.
Yeah. Well, love is.
I just want to add that's part of the song of Moses.
He's talking about the law and the prophecies,
Yeah.
pretty much. The Song of Moses and the Song of Yahushua. That's what he's talking about.
Right.
That the elect is sing is what I'm talking
Gone, brother.
Because, you can start at verse 1 in Revelation 11, but the point is in verse 4, right? The two witnesses, right? So let's get that real quick. Verse 3 and verse 4. And I'll try to stop after that because we pretty much closed out. But yeah, Revelation 11. Revelation. No. We're not going into Matthew.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just trying to read along with you.
Yeah. We broke that down. Just Revelation 11 and 3, because it talks about those two witnesses. We're going to go into that two witnesses. It talks about that in Revelation 11.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 3. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Right, and again, those two witnesses represents the northern and the southern kingdom, man. Okay, now 1,260 days. How many years is that? Somebody said, I heard somebody say
350 years.
Right. Yeah, 3.5, which represents 350 years. Okay, that goes into the time that basically we didn't really have we didn't have the oil. We didn't have the name of the Lord to call on to save. But now, when you read in verses 4 and 5, it talks about now we got that power again. Okay?
I'm just add on, Steve, for those that are new. The first slaves, like in James, is under 1619.
Right.
So 350 as that before 1969. Around the time that our oblivious began to preach on the highways and heavens.
Right. Okay? So it says, I will give power unto my two witnesses. Okay? And it talks about that time period and how they were clothed in sackcloth. Okay? Now we're lamenting and repenting and mourning. Okay? And prophesying now. Okay? Go ahead. Verse 4. Verse 4 is the point. That's it.
Well, he said I got to do on the sackcloth part. Where he said where we prophesying,
The sackcloth you said?
No, it's clothes and sackcloth. That was pretty much us being in slavery that whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I was going to make sure I understood you.
Yeah, no. Clothes and sackcloth. Sackcloth represents what? Sackcloth and ashes. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're atoning for your sins. You know, you're repenting. You know, but now we're teaching. Okay, in these times now, right? Which verse 5 talks about that. But let's read verse 4.
Verse 4. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Most High of the earth.
Right, so that's a clear breakdown. Okay, ultimately, that's the spirit that has been given back to us in these times. And it talks about, you know, if any man will hurt them, fire shall proceed out of their mouth. So we prophesying what's going to happen to these people for what they've done, right? For all of the transgressions that they've committed, okay, touching the apple of the Lord's eye, they're going to have to pay for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the earth is literally changing. You know, after our prophecy, as we're, you know, starting with about difference over to today, the world is literally reacting to what we're saying right now. You know, brothers speak on things and they actually happen and we see it. You know, so it's power within that, you know.
Yep. So yeah, that was the end of the chapter. Brothers have any other points or anything? Hey, Lord willing, Abaratazah, this is edifying. With that, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh.
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Big Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.
Good job, man. That was good.